Good morning, everyone. I'm making this video to capture this very special moment of my E38 in the snow. I guess most people put theirs into storage during this season, but I bought this car as a daily, so I'm more than happy to drive it in the snow. Okay, let's hear the cold start, hopefully. I'm on a trip and I got caught off guard by snow. I would even go as far as saying that it's a blizzard, a small snowstorm. Now, if you live in Iceland or Norway, this is probably just some late July beach weather for you. But honestly, I cannot remember the last time when I had to drive in such conditions. Certainly not in the last couple of years. Unfortunately, the car is not in the best state for such conditions. So let me fill you in on what's happened recently. First of all, my heater control valve has failed. At least that's what I believe to be the culprit. But essentially, I have no heating in the car. I have the part, I have it with me, but since I'm on the trip and I'm only here for a couple of days, I cannot leave it at any shop to have it replaced because I don't have the time. I need the car, and I'm not going to attempt to replace it myself in such weather. It's just in too tight of a space to get to. However, thankfully, this car is equipped with a cold weather package, or whatever it's called, and that consists of heated mirrors, but most importantly, heated seats, as well as a heated steering wheel. So these two features are what make this car drivable in this weather, in this temperature. Now, believe it or not, when I have the heated seats on and the steering wheel on, I'm perfectly fine. I don't even miss the heat that much. Sometimes I even have to turn down the power of the heated seats because it gets too hot. Now, the steering wheel does not get very warm, but the heated seats work like a domino effect. So basically your torso gets hot and then every other part of your body is warm as well. In fact, I would even say that the broken heater control valve is not a bug, but it's a feature. It may just be a blessing in disguise. So I drove here with an ice box with a bunch of food inside.
Bruh.
Okay. I drove here with a bunch of food inside of the ice box, and because it's very cold in the car, except I'm warm because of the heated seats and the heated steering wheel, the food was the same temperature at the end of the journey as when I left. So there is a silver lining, but I do thank God for the heated seats, because without them this journey would have been very difficult. The parking sensors are going crazy because they're covered in snow. All right, not very useful now. By the way, a quick update. I did fix the parking sensors. It turns out there was just one or two in the rear, which was faulty, so I got them replaced, and now they work just fine. The screen still broken, but I did pick up a new used screen for a low price, so I will replace it and see if it helps. Another thing regarding my previous video, yes, it's not actually negative 40 degrees. The sensor is missing. I bought one to replace it, but I lost it. But I'll find it and replace it soon. Another thing regarding the previous video, for whatever reason the algorithm went crazy and the video got a bunch of views, a bunch of comments, which I appreciate, a lot of useful things that you guys have said for the most part. So thank you very much for all those tips. Let's check how much snow we've got. 25 centimeters, so almost a foot. You know what? I feel justified in calling this a snowstorm, especially considering the global warming and climate change, and it makes for a good title. Now, there's one more problem with no silver lining. I cannot see any advantage to it, and that is the front headlight on the driver's side. I have to give you a short backstory. Let me get inside. Oh, you probably remember them from the previous video. Yeah, let me get inside because it's very unpleasant here. A couple of months ago, I was driving at night, and the left headlight started to flicker, and then it went out completely. I'm referring to the xenon light bulb. Now, I didn't think much of it because I figured that it was probably my fault. Basically, what happened was I was driving at night, and sometimes what I like to do is I like to turn on the high beams and then turn off the lights completely for like half a second so that it's pitch black. I know it's stupid, but I am amused by little things. So that's when the headlights started to act up. I pulled over, turned the car off, turned it back on, and everything seemed fine. So I just ignored the issue. Now, about 2 weeks ago, I was driving on the highway. I wasn't playing with my lights, but I got a notification on the screen here. It said check front headlights. So I did, and sure enough, the driver's side was not working at all. I figured that it was probably the light bulb, so I used this as an excuse to upgrade the bulbs, and I got some really good, high quality and expensive bulbs. I got both of them, so I got the set and decided to replace it. Now, right before those bulbs arrived, the light started to work again. So at that point, I was certain that it was not a matter of the bulb, but most likely the module. But I figured that I might as well replace them because I was expecting a great difference in light performance. So I did replace them, which was more difficult than I had anticipated. But to my disappointment, there was no improvement. In fact, the experience was much worse. And that is because when replacing the bulb, I must have broken the adjuster on this headlight. So these are xenon headlights, and they are automatically adjusted, so the car gets input from the suspension as well as the computer regarding the speed, etc., and it levels the headlights automatically. Now the right one, the passenger, works just fine. In fact, you can tell when you're parked against the wall at night that it adjusts after you turn it on, but the left one does not. You can tell that the adjuster is broken because when I try to move the bulb on this side, it doesn't move. On this side though, it does. Maybe it's hard to tell, but yeah, the entire set just moves. It's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be there's supposed to be resistance. You're not supposed to be able to move it manually. In fact, if you take a look, you can see a small white part just about there, and I believe that's the part that broke. And the symptom is that this light is always at its lowest position, so it doesn't adjust, and it maybe shines like 2 feet ahead. So if you ever try to replace these bulbs, make sure to be careful. Don't be like me. Don't try to replace them without taking out the airboxes, because that's what I tried initially. And while driving at night, it is a big problem, because you can barely see ahead. You can see some footage right now. The first leg of this trip I performed at night, and not only was it dark, obviously, but it was also snowing and raining, and there was a huge fog. It was very, very, very challenging. So as much as I love to drive at night, on my way back tomorrow, I will be driving early morning after the sun rises, just because I don't want to go through that again. However, since I not only have to remove the headlight to replace the module, but also I have to take it apart to fix or replace the adjuster, I decided to improve the performance of these lights even further by taking some additional steps. So what I did is I returned those bulbs that I had purchased, and I bought even better ones, I hope. I also ordered new covers, so these clear plastic parts. And I am going to purchase bi-xenon lenses, and so I hope that that procedure will improve the performance of these lights significantly. So most likely in my next video you can expect that procedure. I'm not saying that it will work, but I will definitely attempt it. I have 2 more updates. So thanks to this temperature, low temperature, the car doesn't really leak as much as before. So that's a huge plus of winter. I also installed a Bluetooth module, so now I can play music from my phone. The speakers are atrocious. I never expected them to be that bad, but it's still a huge convenience. Unfortunately, now the radio doesn't really pick up the stations very well. Maybe I didn't plug in the antenna correctly, but the process of installing it was very tedious. I had to take out a bunch of components in the rear. I wasn't expecting all of that work, but I'd say it was worth it. And I don't listen to radio anyway, so I'd rather have Bluetooth than working radio. Yeah, I know I said I'll clean the engine bay like a year ago, but you don't have to remind me. If I said I'll do it, I'll do it. Now, another problem, which is really just another example of my stupidity, is that the washer fluid froze. So this car has a fairly large washer fluid tank. It's 6 liters, I believe. And I just didn't use I didn't use up all the summer washer fluid on time, and so even though I added some winter fluid, it all combined and froze, which made the trip at night here even more challenging. However, an interesting thing about this car is that it has not one but 2 washer fluid tanks. So this is the main one, I believe, the 6-liter one. Yep. And this is a separate one. And you're supposed to put concentrated washer fluid here. It's a smaller tank. And the way it works is that I believe every 20 sprays of the regular one, it sprays this one once. But you can also use it manually by pressing this S right here. And actually this tank with the concentrated fluid did not freeze. So what I thought was a gimmick actually saved my ass. I doubt he's going anywhere anytime soon. As you can tell, today it's not snowing, but for the past 2 days it has been snowing non-stop. There have been plenty of plow trucks and tractors, but they were just not keeping up with all the snow falling down. What's surprising is that I haven't seen a single accident. Everyone's been driving very rationally and safely, about 30 kilometers an hour or so. Another thing that's surprising to me is how well this car handles these conditions. I got some budget tires again, this time winter tires, of course. And honestly, I was not expecting I wasn't expecting them to perform so well. This is my winter setup. These tires are Snow Rovers. Never heard of them. I'm no expert, but I say that the performance to price ratio is very good. And I also got these wheels. These are OEM 16-inch BMW wheels. They did come with the E38, maybe only with the pre-facelift version, along with other BMW models. I'm not a huge fan of the look compared to the other 16 inches, but it's very convenient to just have the tires, the 2 sets of tires on separate wheels. It's much easier to switch them. I did get stuck a couple of times for a brief moment, but that was because I just bottomed out. This car has a pretty low clearance, so obviously if there's a very high layer of snow, regardless of what tires or chains I might have on, the car won't go anywhere. Also, I'm very happy with the DSC. I know that it's just doing its job, it's doing what it's supposed to, but like I said, I am amused by simple things. The difference between driving with it on, which is the default obviously, and off is night and day. Driving without it is pretty much impossible. The car just wants to go sideways all the time. But driving with it on, considering that it's a diesel, a very torquey diesel, 560 newton-meters of torque to the rear wheels, it does very, very well in the snow. Oops. I'm sorry, I don't have any video, but I did spot two E38s during my trip. The first one is this thing. It looks beautiful on those style 95 wheels. I think those are one of the best wheels for the E38, unless you have unpainted rocker panel covers like me. The other one is this. It's a pre-facelift, perhaps the same color, but both look very, very beautiful. It's 5 a.m. on a Monday. It barely snowed overnight, so I'm expecting little to no issues. Winter city consumption 18.4. Headlights are practically non-existent. Oh, there you are. Yeah, this sucks. On this stretch of the trip, I've decided to take advantage of the quote-unquote manual mode of the transmission. So, in my previous video, one of you has mentioned, rightfully so, that I had been driving with very low RPMs. And so now, since I'm not driving very fast, I decided to essentially lock out the fifth gear so we don't stay below 2000 most of the time. I just noticed this. This is strange. So, as you may know, the outside temperature sensor is missing completely, but the temperature just changed from -40, which it has been at for the past good couple of months, to -20.5, I believe, and now it's at -20.0. -19.5. This car is a perpetual mystery. We have less than 100 kilometers left, so we're almost home. The car is doing fine. Overall, a great winter vehicle. Highly recommended. We have made it without any problems. Well, no problems. The consumption has been 8.2 for those interested. Hell yes. W12 Phaeton. Next car maybe? No, I would get the V10 TDI, of course. Here's what the car looks like. Okay, thanks for watching, and till next time. Almost after I finish editing my video, we have to inspect this E38 parked in my neighborhood. So it's a pre-facelift with facelift taillights. That's okay, I forgive you. Automatic leather seats. I don't see any options in this thing. Looks like a gasoline version, but it's a beautiful Schwarz black, I believe, or maybe it's the Schwarz purple or whatever it's called. Well, you see, it's got the same wheels as me. I told you, it's OEM. And like I said, I'm not the only one daily driving the E38.